6 recovery miles today, just taking it easy, trying to keep the legs moving after the race. Yesterday, I thought I'd give a little bit of my race recap from the 2018 Soldier Field 10 mile. This is a race that is pretty important to me. It kind of marks the beginning of my return to running. Long story short, I took a long break from running, and my running buddy, who's a friend of mine, suggested that we run this race several years ago, and that kind of like reignited the spark. So it's a great day to run, it's a great place to run, it's a well-run event, and there's sentimental value too, so very good. I'm pretty happy with my result. Yesterday, 1 hour, 11 minutes, 9 seconds. Not exactly what I was hoping for. I was hoping to break 110 or be at least in the 110s. Missed it by just 9 seconds, but that's okay. Pretty happy with it. It was relatively hot out there yesterday, but it's always hot for this race, so not anything that I wasn't expecting. Last year I ran a 1:15:35, and then the year before that I was running, that's the thing about Ram racing events. The only knock that I'll kind of put down on them is that there's kind of 2 complaints I have about this race. One is that it's hard to look up past race results or even this year's race results. Maybe it's because of privacy concerns or what have you. It's hard to figure out like where you are in relation to other people. So this year I was 72nd overall out of 6,205, I think. 14th in my age group, but I have no idea what times, places 13 through 1 ran. Like that's not something that I can search, even though it looks like it should be something I can search. Maybe that I'm wrong on that, maybe I'm just not finding it. But I'd love to see kind of like where I fit. Like if I'd come in at 110, where would that have put me? And then I can't find, for whatever reason, my race results from 2016. Although in the video I made for that year's race, I said that I came in at 10 minutes, but then in 2017, I say that I came in at 9 minutes for 20, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where I came in, but I think it was in like the 140, 145 kind of range. So quite a bit of improvement. 30 minutes for a 10-mile run, I think is not typical results. So I'm feeling very good about that. The other thing that I'll kind of not complain, but say about this race is starting last year, in 2017, they let you start and finish on the field at Soldier Field where the Chicago Bears play, which is amazing. It's great to be able to start and finish in that spot because it is Soldier Field. The entire stadium is built as a memorial to fallen soldiers, and it is a Memorial Day race. So there's that kind of connection there that's nice. The problem is, at that point in the morning when you're starting the race, the grass is always wet. And where a lot of people start, the grass, they're going to be standing in the grass. And although a lot of it, they put this kind of like plastic kind of planking down, I think, to protect the surface, the playing surface. But it only goes so far. And before you get from the end of the planking surface about to the tunnels where you're going to run out, you have to run through some of that grass. Fortunately, this year I was in the A corral, which is always kind of intimidating to me because I don't feel like I should be there. And so where I was standing, I was past the grass even and just standing on the concrete. In fact, I was starting like right at the start this year. I was like, an arm's length away from the elite runners, which again was weird and intimidating and made me feel like I was definitely in the wrong place. The race started really fast. And another thing that's difficult about this race, and it comes with starting inside a stadium, is that you have to get outside the stadium. And so you start this race, I start the watch, and then instantly you're running through a tunnel, under, tons and tons of concrete and steel. And so that throws off your GPS, and I was just kind of running. And this year I was running at a pace where there wasn't a pace group. The fastest pace group is at 7 minutes, 30 seconds per mile. I was shooting for 7 minutes per mile. And so I was looking at the elites. I didn't know where the 7:30 pace group was behind me, and I was just kind of going. And 7 minutes per mile isn't really a speed that I typically run for an extended period of time. My marathon goal pace is 8 minutes per mile, at least for now. It was a hard pace for me to maintain, and the entire time I just kept feeling like I have no idea how fast I'm running. The watch was relatively reliable, but then I would come up to like the mile markers, and I feel like I started my watch a little bit before the gun went off just to make sure I had it. I didn't want to have to like worry about filming myself running, trying to not get in any elite runner's way, and then also start a watch. I felt like that was too many things, so I just started it what I thought was like 15 seconds early, but then I got to like the first and second miles, and I was coming in at like 6:45, 6:30 per mile, and that was just way too fast for me. And I think that kind of just threw me off for the rest of the race. And then I slowed down a little bit, and then I slowed down too much, and then I couldn't catch back up. And so I felt like the entire time I wished that I had a pack that I could have run with, and I just didn't find that. And so like I would try to like find like a cluster of people, because I'm thinking if there's a cluster of people, those people are probably running at 7 minutes per mile, given like who was around me. And there wasn't like a ton of people around me, so that was disorienting too, and kind of threw me off. And I just, even with a GPS watch, I just felt like out of sorts a little bit. And I think that's more a confidence issue. I don't train at that speed. I'm not used to that speed. And also I'm just not used to running that distance at that speed, which has me thinking about like going forward. You know, I stop relatively frequently to take videos as I'm running. And I think that for some of my longer runs, I have to be a little bit more disciplined about it, or maybe I can plan the runs so that more of like the less scenic parts of the run, there's longer chunks of that, so that way I can have bigger chunks of time where I'm running, you know, like a threshold type run or an up-tempo run at 2 or 3 miles at a time, or even 5 to 7 miles at a time, to get more of that feeling. Because I was definitely tired. By mile 6, I started really feeling it. I started getting very fatigued. I was looking for the finish line already at mile 6, so my body really wasn't feeling its best. I felt like I should have been stronger at mile 6, but I wasn't. My feet started to hurt. I was running in the Pegasus 35, and that really shouldn't have been an issue. So I'm thinking that that was more mental than anything. My body, you know, creating reasons for me to stop or slow down or ease off the gas. So I think that I need to work on that kind of like race type condition so that my body doesn't panic. Because I can do it, I think, but my body doesn't want to. And I think that's because it hasn't been pushed at that level enough. And that's something that I've talked with a lot of you in the comments or across other social about, you know, getting the most out of my mileage. I think that I'm running a lot of miles, but I'm not running a lot of hard miles. And mostly that's just a survival mode, getting through the winter in Chicago. You run what you can run when you can run, depending on the weather and the conditions. But now that it's warm, it's hot out now. The sun is rising, you know, at about 5:20 in the morning. So by the time I get out there, the sun's already up, and so no more excuses. So I got to get out there. I got to push a little bit harder. I'd like to also get some more mileage in there. I think at this point, last week, with this recovery run, I ran just over 40 miles. I did take a taper day on Friday. I don't really know how to taper, and I didn't really taper for this race, I guess. But so 40 miles for that week. The week before I did 50 and change, so I think at this point I need to be at 50 miles per week. But I also would like to start incorporating some more threshold type running. So that way these kind of like race pace efforts aren't as distressing mentally and physically. So I think that's kind of where I'm at. After the race, you know, there was a lot of Noon hydration available. I've never been a huge fan of Noon. I don't know if they've changed the formula or I'm just getting used to it now. I'm starting to like it, or at least dislike it a little less. Took some free samples that they were giving out. I tried like a mango something flavor. That was actually pretty good. I like that. Right now I'm obsessed with mango. Anything that's mango flavored I like. And then there was kind of like the post race area, hung out there. I was really missing my running buddy there because that's where we usually hang out a little bit after a race. You know, he wasn't there this year. He's been sidelined with it's been a pretty significant injury. It's kept him out of running for about half a year now. So because yeah, I mean the big thing about yesterday's race was, you know, I just felt like kind of not lonely, but alone. You know, I got to the race extra early, which I'm never really sure when you need to show up to a race. And, you know, I was in the A corral. I got there early and I felt like I was the only one in there for a while. and then I felt like I got shoved to the front of the A corral right behind the elite, and then everyone started running, and then I was just by myself again. And then at the party afterwards, I was just kind of drinking beers by myself. So it was a weird event. I need to find a better sense of where I'm at in terms of pace. I need to spend more time in that kind of zone, at that speed, at that level. I think I just got to start getting used to now, kind of like, this is what races are going to feel like, in terms of like, I'm not going to be running in a huge pack anymore, which is a good thing. That means I'm getting faster, but it's a little disorienting for me, and something I think I just got to get used to. But that's my recap of the 2018 Soldier Field 10 mile. If you ran it, I'd love to hear about your experience, how you did, in the comments. Thanks everybody for watching.
Yo, what's going on?